If you are watching this, you probably know the drill. My name is Alex, and for the last 5 years, I've traveled the East Coast documenting the things that history books try to forget. I've slept in abandoned asylums in West Virginia and recorded EVPs in the basement of the Lizzie Borden house. I don't scare easily. I'm a skeptic by trade. But what happened last week in Maine? That wasn't just a ghost story. That was something ancient, something that felt like it was waiting specifically for me. It was mid-October. The leaves in New England were already turning that deep, violent shade of crimson, and the air had that biting chill that cuts right through your jacket. I was driving up Route 1 into Bucksport, a quiet, unsuspecting town sitting right on the Penobscot River. I wasn't there for the scenery. I was there for Colonel Jonathan Buck. For those of you who don't know the lore, let me fill you in. Jonathan Buck was the founder of the town back in the 1700s, a Revolutionary War hero, a judge, a pillar of the community. But pillars cast long shadows. The legend goes that Buck was a fanatic, a man obsessed with purifying his town. Around 1752, he sentenced a woman to death for witchcraft. Some say she was a local healer who knew too much. Others say she was his mistress who threatened to expose him. Whatever the truth, the sentence was death by burning. As the flames licked up her legs, consuming her, the woman didn't scream. She locked eyes with the colonel and delivered a curse that has outlived both of them. She promised that even in death, he would never be free of her. She swore that a sign would appear on his tombstone, the shape of her burning leg and foot, to remind the world of the injustice he committed. It sounds like folklore, right? Just a campfire story? But here's the thing. Colonel Buck died in 1795. A massive granite monument was erected in the Bucksport cemetery, and shortly after, a dark, amorphous stain appeared on the stone. It looks exactly like a woman's lower leg and foot. Over the last 2 centuries, the family has tried everything. They've scrubbed it with acid, they've chiseled the stone down. There are even records claiming the stone was replaced entirely. It doesn't matter. The leg always comes back. I pulled my car under the gravel shoulder near the cemetery around 11:30 p.m. The town was asleep. The streetlights were few and far between, casting long skeletal shadows through the iron gates. I grabbed my camera rig, checked the battery on my heavy-duty flashlight, and stepped out. The silence was heavy. It wasn't the peaceful quiet of the countryside. It was the suppressed silence of a room where everyone has stopped talking because someone dangerous just walked in. I hopped the low stone wall, technically trespassing, I know, don't do this at home, and began navigating the rows of headstones. The fog was rolling off the river, thick and low, swirling around my ankles. It felt like walking through dry ice. Okay, I whispered to the camera, the red recording light blinking in the darkness. We are walking toward the Buck Monument. It's supposed to be right near the road, facing the highway, almost like it wants to be seen. I saw it almost immediately. It's hard to miss. It's an obelisk, stark white against the black sky, looming over the smaller, humbler graves surrounding it. As I approached, the air temperature seemed to plummet. I could see my breath pluming in the flashlight beam. I walked up to the monument. My heart did a little flutter, not from fear, but from anticipation. I shone the light directly onto the face of the granite, and there it was. It's one thing to see pictures on Google Images. It's another to stand 3 feet away from it. The stain is distinct. It's a dark, grayish discoloration in the quartz. It starts near the bottom and stretches up, forming a perfect calf, an ankle, and a foot. The orientation is weird. It looks like a leg suspended in the air, or perhaps a leg rolling out of a fire. "This is incredible," I narrated, panning the camera up and down the stone. "It looks like a defect in the mineral, but the shape is too specific. Look at the arch of the foot." I reached out and touched it. The stone was freezing, colder than the air around me, but the stain, when I ran my fingers over the dark patch, it felt different. It didn't feel like smooth granite. It felt slightly rougher, porous. I decided to run an experiment. I had brought a bottle of industrial-strength stone cleaner and a wire brush. I know it's vandalism, but I wanted to see if the legend of it being uncleanable was true. I set the camera on a tripod, framed the shot, and sprayed the chemical foam on the leg. "All right, let's see what happens," I muttered. I started scrubbing. To my surprise, the dark soot-like color began to lift. The white foam turned gray, then black. I wiped it away with a rag. Beneath the grime, the stone was pristine white. I scrubbed harder. Within 10 minutes, the leg was gone. The monument looked brand new. I laughed nervously, looking into the lens. Well, guys, looks like the curse is busted. Just needed some modern chemistry and a little elbow grease. The leg is gone. I packed the cleaning supplies back into my bag, feeling a mix of triumph and disappointment. I had debunked the legend. The video was going to be great, but the magic was gone. I turned my back to the monument to check the camera's playback screen. That's when the audio on my headset cut out. Just static, violent, screeching static. I frowned, tapping the headset. Testing, testing, nothing, just white noise. Then, behind me, I heard a sound. It was faint, wet, and rhythmic. Sss, 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 like a drop of water hitting a hot skillet. I froze. The logical part of my brain, the part that keeps me safe on these trips, told me it was just the cleaning chemicals reacting with the stone. Acid eating into limestone or quartz. Just a chemical reaction. But the primal part of my brain, the lizard brain that kept our ancestors from being eaten by wolves, was screaming at me to run. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, needle sharp. I slowly turned around, shining my flashlight back onto the obelisk. The stone was white, perfectly clean. The spot where I had scrubbed was glistening with the residue of the cleaner. "Okay, Alex, calm down," I whispered. My voice shook. Then, I saw it. In the center of the clean area, a tiny black dot appeared. It wasn't on the surface. It looked like it was emerging from inside the rock. It was like watching ink spread through water, but in reverse. The dot expanded, branching like black veins. Sss. Crackle. The sound was louder now. It sounded unmistakably like burning wood, the pop of sap boiling, the snap of dry timber. The black spot grew rapidly. It wasn't just gray anymore. It was charcoal black, darker than the night around me. It swirled and contorted, finding the old boundaries. It formed the toes first, then the heel, then the long, slender arch of the ankle. I backed away, my boots crunching on the dead grass. Camera. I need to get this on camera. I fumbled with the tripod, swinging the lens back toward the stone. The LCD screen flickered. The image was distorted, tearing with digital artifacts. But through the glitching screen, the image was even terrifying. On the screen, the stain wasn't black, it was glowing. A dull, embers red glow, like dying coals. I looked back at the stone with my naked eye. The stain was fully formed now. The leg was back, but it looked wet. The smell hit me next. It wasn't the smell of old leaves or river mud anymore. It was acrid, choking. It smelled like burning hair and roasted meat. It was so strong I gagged, pulling my shirt up over my nose. "Do you smell that?" I choked out to the invisible audience, forgetting that smells don't record. The fog around the cemetery began to swirl violently, drawn toward the monument, as if the stone were inhaling. The temperature, which had been freezing a moment ago, spiked. A wave of heat rolled off the grave, hot enough to dry the moisture in my eyes. I stood paralyzed, caught between the instinct to flee and the morbid curiosity of a documentarian. Then, the whisper came. It didn't come from the grave. It came from right next to my ear. "You missed a spot." It was a woman's voice, raspy, broken, like vocal cords that had been scorched. I spun around, swinging the flashlight wildly. There was no one, just the endless rows of headstones and the swirling fog. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice cracked. "This isn't funny." I turned back to the monument. The stain was changing again. The black shape of the leg was seemingly pushing outward. The granite surface bubbled. It wasn't a 2D stain anymore. It was becoming 3D, a relief carving forming in real time. And then, the foot moved. I swear on my life, the black shape on the stone flexed its toes. That broke me. The skepticism, the bravery, the desire for views, it all shattered. I grabbed the tripod, not bothering to fold it, and scrambled backward. I tripped over a root, landing hard on my back. The flashlight rolled away, the beam spinning dizzily through the fog. As I scrambled to get up, looking back at Colonel Buck's tomb, the heat intensified. It felt like I was standing in front of an open furnace. The light from the street lamp seemed to dim, swallowed by the unnatural shadow growing around the obelisk. In the rising smoke, because it was smoke now, billowing off the cold stone, I saw a silhouette. It wasn't the colonel. It was slight, frail, a woman's figure, but wrong, twisted. One leg dragged behind her, limp and charred. She wasn't walking on the ground. She was pulling herself out of the stone. I didn't wait to see her face. I didn't want to see her face. I grabbed my tripod and ran. I ran blindly through the dark, leaping over headstones, my breath tearing at my throat. The smell of burning flesh chased me. It stuck to my clothes. It filled my lungs. Every time I blinked, I saw the afterimage of that black leg on the white stone, flexing its charred toes.
I made it to the car in record time. I threw the equipment into the passenger seat, fumbled with the keys, and slammed the door. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the keys twice before jamming them into the ignition. The engine roared to life. I threw it into reverse, tires spinning on the gravel, spraying stones everywhere. As I peeled out onto Route 1, I risked one glance in the rearview mirror. The cemetery was gone, swallowed by a wall of unnaturally dense fog. But in the red glow of my taillights, standing right at the iron gate, was a figure. It just stood there, watching me leave. I drove for 3 hours straight. I didn't stop until I hit Portland. I found a 24-hour diner, ordered black coffee, and sat in a booth shivering under the fluorescent lights. I smelled like a campfire. The waitress gave me a weird look but didn't say anything. I checked the footage on my camera right there in the booth. The file was corrupted. Of course it was. Most of the video was just green blocks and static, but there was one clear frame. Just one. It was from the moment I had cleaned the stone right before the heat started. In the video, the stone is white, clean, but in the reflection of the polished granite you can see me standing there. And standing directly behind me, with her hands resting on my shoulders, is a woman. Her skin is blackened, peeling. Her eyes are just white voids. I slammed the laptop shut. I nearly threw up right there on the table. I went home. I tried to edit the video to salvage something, but I couldn't look at it. I ended up posting a short vlog explaining that the footage was lost due to technical error. I didn't tell my subscribers what I saw. I didn't tell anyone. I thought by leaving Maine, I had left it behind. I thought distance would protect me. That was a week ago. For the first few days, it was just nightmares. I'd dream I was tied to a stake, the heat rising, the smoke choking me. I'd wake up sweating, smelling that acrid, burning scent in my clean apartment. Then the heat started. My apartment is always cold, but lately I wake up and it feels like an oven. The thermostat says 68, but I'm burning up. But the real horror started this morning. I was in the shower. The steam was filling the bathroom. As I was washing my legs, I felt a patch of skin on my left calf that felt strange. Numb, but also hypersensitive to the hot water. I stepped out of the shower and wiped the mirror off. I looked down at my leg. There, on the side of my calf, was a mark. It wasn't a bruise, it was dark, gray, almost like soot rubbed into the skin, but it wouldn't wash off. I scrubbed it until my skin was raw and bleeding, but the mark remained beneath the blood. It's small right now, but it has a shape. It looks like a footprint, a woman's footprint, and it's getting darker. I tried to call the doctor, but what do I say? I think a dead witch touched me? I'm recording this now because I need people to know. The legend of Colonel Buck isn't just a story about a stain on a rock. It's not a passive curse, it's a trap. The stain isn't just a memorial, It's a container. It holds the rage, the fire, the injustice. And when I cleaned that stone, when I wiped away the mark she left for the Colonel, I think I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I think I gave her a clean slate. I think I freed her. The stain on the tombstone always comes back, they say. I looked up a news article from a local Maine paper online today. Someone visited the grave yesterday. They posted a picture. The tombstone is clean. For the first time in 200 years, the leg is gone. The stone is pure white. It's gone because it's not on the stone anymore. It's on me. And my leg, it's starting to feel warm. Not a gentle warmth. It feels like the heat of a fire starting deep in the bone. If you are ever in Bucksport, Maine, do not go to the cemetery. Do not look for the tomb of Colonel Buck. And for the love of God, if you see the stain, do not try to clean it. Some stains are there for a reason. They aren't scars. They are warnings. And now I think I'm part of the legend.